Welcome in, everyone. I hope you guys are all doing well wherever you're watching today. President Donald Trump has announced major news about a potential war with Iran over the country's desire and attempts to get nukes, and whether or not the United States is going to bomb Iran or not. This comes amid Israel wanting to take direct action and the United States pursuing to choose a diplomatic path forward with the Iranian regime to stop its nuke program from advancing to a weapons grade type situation. Before we get into all of that and much more, please make sure to like and subscribe. Hit the bell above so that you can get the latest news as we have it. And I want to hear all your comments below about how you want to see President Trump handle Iran. Obviously, there are a lot of moving pieces, and I want to see what you all think the president should do. So now let's get into it. So we've been in a situation now for quite some time where the United States of America and the Iranian regime have been going back and forth to find a diplomatic solution to make sure the nuclear program in Iran is not able to weaponize and get a bomb, which is something everyone in the Middle East does not want to see happen, including the Israelis, the Saudis, the Emiratis, and the UAE, and everyone else in the region does not want to see Iran get a bomb for many different reasons. One of those reasons being that it would spark a significant arms race. If Iran gets the bomb, you can bet everything you have Saudi Arabia will then immediately weaponize and get nukes of their own. It would spark a huge weapons race in the region, as well as it would pose a direct threat to the interest and safety of the Middle East as well. Whether you believe Iran is a rational actor or not, given its history, I think we can all agree that Iran having nukes is not a good idea. So what has the president been doing? He has chosen to pursue a diplomatic option with the Iranian regime, with the military card remaining on the table and making it clear that if a deal cannot be reached, that he is more than open to pursuing a military strike on Iran. Now, I have told you all that it looks like everything is trending in the direction of a military strike not happening. All the signs are lining up for a diplomatic solution. And now President Donald Trump announced some major news on Sunday. I'm filming this on April 28th. So on April 27th, he addressed the situation with one of his biggest updates yet on the situation with Iran and reaching a deal. And he seemed to indicate what I've been saying for some time, which is that a deal likely is going to be reached and you won't see, quote, bombs all over the place. Let's go ahead and watch what President Donald Trump had to say right now.
On the Iran situation, I think we're doing very well. I think a deal is going to be made there. That's going to happen. Pretty sure it's going to happen. We'll have something without having to start dropping bombs all over the place.
So that right there was President Donald Trump saying he believes a deal is going to be reached and a war with Iran is not going to happen. There will not be a strike, which is a significant change in rhetoric from what we saw just say a month ago, a month and a half ago, when it looked like a strike was imminent on Iran, especially after the B-2 bombers got moved to Diego Garcia, which would be the launching point for any potential action against Iran. However, while President Trump has made it clear that he believes a diplomatic solution will happen, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, had some different thoughts on the situation. This comes from the Times of Israel. I'll throw it up on the screen for you right now. Speaking at the Jewish News Syndicate Policy Conference in Jerusalem, Netanyahu stressed that Tehran could not be allowed to continue enriching uranium. As far as Israel is concerned, he said, a real deal that works is one that removes Iran's capacity to enrich uranium for nuclear weapons. He said Trump has told him many times, including just recently, we can't allow Iran to have nuclear weapons. As I said, I absolutely believe that. Dismantle all the infrastructure of Iran's nuclear program. That is a deal we can live with. Netanyahu went on, predicting that if the two sides were to agree on a deal that is too lenient, Iran would simply run out the clock and wait for the end of Trump's term before picking back up where it left off. Iran, which openly seeks Israel's destruction, denies seeking nuclear arms, but has accelerated production of 60% enriched uranium, an enrichment rate far above what is needed for civilian uses, and is a short technical step from weapons-grade uranium. Weapons grade is about at 90%, and you can go from 60 to 90 relatively quickly for what it's worth, maybe in a matter of a few weeks, maybe in as short as 5 days, depending on what experts are giving their opinion. Iran also continues to develop its ballistic missiles capabilities. As I've talked about at length, the ballistic missile threat from Iran is honestly probably even more of a worry than having a nuke at this time. In fact, the ballistic missile threat from Iran is its main deterrent at the moment, and it is significant. It continues from the times of Israel. In addition to the issue of enriched uranium, Netanyahu suggested that Iran's ballistic missile production capabilities should be included in the negotiations as well. Quote, "A bad deal is worse than no deal," the premier said, arguing that the only good deal would be one modeled on the deal that Libya agreed to in 2003, under which Tehran's entire nuclear program, both military and civilian, would be dismantled completely. While Trump has repeatedly threatened that the U.S. could potentially unleash airstrikes against Iran's nuclear program should negotiations fail, he has made it clear that he prefers to first exhaust all diplomatic channels before turning to a military solution. So that goes back to what I just said about how he's keeping that card on the table. It's important to remember the Libyan model is not something these countries that are possibly chasing nukes want to hear, because how did the Libyan model ultimately end? It ended with Gaddafi being unalived and losing his life in a civil war in very public and very violent and brutal fashion. So you have Trump, he's arguing peace appears imminent. You have Netanyahu urging for a deal that completely eliminates their civilian program, which they would use in theory to get weapons, as well as their missile program. The question now is, where do we go from here? Let's go ahead and get into that right now. At the end of the day, the United States of America is in the driver's seat in this situation for reasons we have discussed about before. Specifically speaking, the only country with the ability to hit Iran's facilities, which are deep underground, is the United States of America, and that would be done with the GBU-57, which is a 30,000-pound bunker-busting bomb that can be dropped from the B-2 stealth bomber. As we have also talked about, the United States is not going to loan B-2 stealth bombers to Israel or any other nation, and it also wouldn't matter even if they did, because Iran would still retaliate as if the U.S. had done it, because by giving them or any other country the tools, you are an active participant. If this is going to happen, as Trump previously said, it'll happen with the United States leading the way. However, at this point in time, it appears, I would say, a 90+% chance that there will be no strike in Iran, that a diplomatic deal will be reached. Now, will that be a good deal, a bad deal? That probably depends on who you ask. But the goal is to make sure Iran cannot get nukes. And if this deal stops them from getting nukes permanently, that, by definition, would have accomplished the goal. Now, does that mean it's a 0% chance that Trump, doesn't bomb them? I don't know. It's an impossible thing to say. But right now, all the pieces are lined up for a diplomatic solution. Then the Israelis are going to kind of be in a tough situation because they want to bomb. Trump will have reached a diplomatic solution. Would the Israelis dare go against Trump and try a limited strike? We know a limited strike by the Israelis at most can set Iran back a year, maybe only as little as a few months, because they're only able to hit things on the surface with the F-35, F-16, F-15. They don't have long-range bombers to take out those facilities or the bombs you would need to do it. That's the situation they're in. We got to look at this with clear eyes. We got to go in with our eyes wide open. I don't think the Israelis would do it if a deal is reached, because Trump obviously would not take well to that. It would undercut the diplomatic approach, and Trump would be beyond livid. That's where I think things stand now. I think a deal will be reached. I don't see any military action, but I'm open to being wrong. I want you to comment below with what you think will happen. Let me know if you think the United States or Israel will bomb Iran, or if a diplomatic solution will be reached. Make sure to like and subscribe. As always, hit the bell, comment with your thoughts, and I'll catch y'all next time.